The Indian Pueblo Cultural Center presents Pueblo in Focus. Join us for Pueblo Talk, food, history, art, and more. Hosted by Jeremy Filippi from Acoma and Jemez Pueblos. Experience Pueblo, experience history. We are New Mexico. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Meta.
Welcome to the Pueblo in Focus podcast. I'm Jeremy Filippi from the Pueblos of Acoma and Jemez. And with me today is Mark Thompson. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Mark.
Well, I'm Mark Thompson. I'm the Vice President of Property Management and Development here at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and I'm from the Pueblo of Acoma.
So talk about your duties here at the Cultural Center.
Well, as the Vice President of Property Management and Development, I help with all of the development at Acoma Plaza, and I help manage over 600,000 square feet of property and got a lot going on.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize it because they know about the center here.
Yes,
they know about the museum and the restaurant, but they don't know that we have property across the street. They don't know that we have Starbucks and the hotel, and BIA, and NACA even.
Yeah, and even extra space storage across on the south side of the freeway. When I talk to a lot of folks, they don't even know we've got property on the south side of the freeway, but we got property there too, and they think we're just a culture center.
Yeah.
You know, we got the C-store, we got the hotels, we got Starbucks, and we're landlords for all of the tenants here, and we got 12th Street Tavern. So we've got a lot going on, and hopefully in the near future, we'll be opening up the largest electronic vehicle supercharging location in the Southwest, and Tesla's going to open up 32 charging stations over there by the Marriott. And then this summer, we'll have La Mantanita Food Co-op. We'll have a grocery store, which will be an anchor tenant here at Acoma Plaza. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
And what's really cool is we're owned by the 19 Pueblos. So the governors make these decisions. They tell us what to do. They tell us how to operate. So all the money that's generated from taxes and different revenues goes back to the Pueblos. So that's really cool.
Well, and that's part of the mission here. And a lot of folks don't know this, that there's really two entities here. One is a profit and one is the nonprofit. Indian Pueblo Cultural Center is the nonprofit, and it started first. It was the Culture Center as the nonprofit started first, and then the 19 Pueblo governors, the shareholders, established the Indian Pueblos Marketing Inc., which is the for-profit arm. So we actually got two companies here that function on this site. The for-profit side supports the nonprofit, and so we got a lot going on there too. And so that's the intricacies of it, and it gets a little bit complicated, and got multiple companies under IPMI, the Indian Pueblos Marketing, which is the for-profit, and we got the hotel group, we got the commercial group, we got the government property with the BIA. That's the bulk of our property right there, is almost 240,000 square feet with the BIA 1 and 2 over there. So there's a lot there.
And I think we try to do as best we can to fulfill the mission. And the mission statement of the Cultural Center is the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center campus serves as a gathering place where Pueblo culture is celebrated through creative and cultural experiences while providing economic opportunities to Pueblo and local communities. And I feel like we try to live by that mission statement every day as best as we can.
Absolutely. I think it's important for folks to know that when they come visit the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center and we share part of our culture with them, and what money they spend here goes back to the 19 Pueblos. And it gets divided 1/19 for each one of them. So what we do here goes back to our community. So it is different. It's different from the standpoint of, like in Western society, you got a shareholder that gets the profit share, and it usually is intended for a handful of folks that own the businesses. Well, this goes back to the communities, because having myself served as a tribal official for the Pueblo of Acoma and serving as a tribal secretary and as a lieutenant governor, we know the importance of that revenue. So the dollar gets spent here, goes to the bottom line and that profit share, but also the taxes. And that's the uniqueness of this property, is it's on trust land. And folks don't always realize that when they pay gross receipts tax here, or they fill up their gas tank at the Four Winds C-store, the gas tax, or when they buy things in the C-store, or any place on the trust land, those tax revenues go back to the 19 Pueblos. And that's a big deal. That's a lot different. So you're getting the tax revenue and you're getting the profit share. But all of that goes back to the 19 Pueblos. And that's important. We just had our annual shareholders meeting with the governors as the shareholders last week. And that was a pretty positive event. We've got new leadership here with Monique Frauwell from Jemez, and we're looking forward to her leadership. Mike Canfield left us and retired, and I've known Mike for a long time. He'll be missed, but we're looking forward to that. I think he set it up for us to succeed, and so if we don't fumble it and we are good and keep the intentions true as it was planned, that we're here on behalf of the 19 Pueblos and those communities, I think that's important for us. And if we keep that mission true, that we'll be fine.
And I think what's cool too is that we're able to tell our story our way, and that's kind of the motto of the permanent museum that's there, is telling our Pueblo history, sharing our culture, sharing our beliefs in our own way. We control what we say, we control what goes on. And not only that, we hire Pueblo people. You and me, we're just two res kids from Acoma who are working here. But we, like you said, we have Monique Frauwell, who's our new CEO from Jemez Pueblo. We have other people from San Felipe that come in every day, people from Cochiti, from Isleta, from the different Pueblos. And we work here, we live, and we live on the reservations. We come here and we tell our Pueblo story. So that, I think that's a pretty cool aspect.
That's huge, man. That's a big deal, and not just for the natives here, not just for the res folk, but anybody that comes to visit here. We try and share that. Like when you go to the feast at Acoma or any of the Pueblos, and people are so friendly and welcoming, we try and have that same attitude here. But it is our story, and it is told in our way. And I hope that when non-natives come and visit here, that they see that's what Pueblo culture is about, that it provides them some insight into that, and that it gives them an interest and a desire to go and visit the Pueblos themselves. So that's kind of what's part of having the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center be the gateway. Can we share enough of that culture with them to spark an interest and want them to go out and visit the Pueblos themselves? And that's huge. So feast day at San Felipe, go out there and check it out and see the folks dancing and sharing in their culture. And we're at Acoma, and usually last year was, I hadn't danced in a while, and so last year was the first year I danced again, but it's good. And so check the website out and check out the annual feast at the Pueblos, and make a day trip. Go engage in the culture and go and share in that, and let the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center be that gateway for you. And go check it out, man. There's a lot of people in Albuquerque, and a lot of my friends that haven't been out there. And I said, well, where are you from? I'm from New Mexico, and I've been here all my life, or I've been here for 20 years or whatever, but I've never been to any of the Pueblos. I said, you got to experience it. And New Mexico is just a wonderful place. And the Pueblo culture is a big part of that. Get off the freeway, go check it out. And that's important.
Yeah, one thing we kind of say here is New Mexico history starts with Pueblo history. The Pueblo people, have been here from, southern Colorado all the way down to past Silver City. So we've been in this region forever. So New Mexico,
we were here first.
We were. Yeah.
And, I like to say that. I mean, we were here first, and the archaeologists see that. You see that in Chaco. You see that in Bandelier. We have a long history here, and you get to see just a small part of that when you come and visit the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center and IPCC. And we hope we can share that with you on a personal level, enough to engage you to go out and check it out.
Yeah, and it's really cool that we want to share our culture and share our things, because that history is still alive today, not only just in our DNA, but also, in some of the plants we grow. Some of those corn seeds have been passed on from generation to generation. The pots that we make, you can't just make a new pot. You got to use old materials. So like those pots are being handed down for for centuries, and so it still lives on today. Pueblo culture and Pueblo life is still going on today.
And they're talking about a new exhibit regarding the pottery, and so that will be coming up within the next several months. And so, but even before we started the podcast here, share a little bit of the dialogue that you and I had, and my family at home, and my in-laws and my wife's family. They make the best tamales ever, and the Patricios, a shout out to them and the Patricios at Acoma. But I had just mentioned that I had been encouraging them to try something a little bit different and make a little bit of a twist in it. And so my wife and her family made some green chili chicken tamales, and people will think, nah, that sounds a little weird. And I said, it is different, but man, they came out excellent. And so I'll bring some in and I'll share that with you. But the food, what we're doing with the Indian Pueblo Entrepreneur Complex on the north side up here, that's our newest facility. That's really there as a commercial kitchen. Entrepreneurs can come and visit that and use the commercial kitchen to expand their idea, their product line. You know, it's that food chain and what we do there from farm to fork and all of that stuff. We're trying to implement some of that. That will come about too as we open up La Montanita. They're a partner there, and they're interested in helping us get some of those things to market. And so it's a big deal. The food is a big deal with a lot of folks. And in Pueblo culture, it's important for us too. And I think we have that here at the Indian Pueblo Kitchen. The food there is great, and come and get a sample of that too as well.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the conversation we were having before, because we're talking about food and we're talking about baseball, and we've known each other for quite a while. Yeah. We've known each other since I was a little boy, when I was a bat boy for my dad's baseball team, the Acoma Warriors, and you guys used to play down in Laguna. Yeah. So we've known each other for a while, and that's pretty cool that we share that as well. We had that the exhibit, the Pueblo Baseball exhibit, and not many people know that, like, baseball, but like sports in general, have been around since time immemorial. We have games that we've played with a wooden ball and a deer shoulder blade. Yeah. We call it Tukimu back home.
Yeah, and we do that every time there's the Saint Day and the chicken pools and those types of things. And it's a gambling game actually. And so baseball is a big deal. Running, endurance athletes. I'm an Ironman triathlete. My uncle Earl Ortiz, he's an ultra endurance athlete. He runs 100-milers, and he's 72 years old.
Oh man!
Yes, and so we just did the Baton Memorial March in White Sands here last month, and it's funny because my uncle Earl was there. And he gave me a call while I was still out on the course. I was about 2 miles from the finish, and I get my phone call, and it's my Uncle Earl. And I answered a call, and I said, "What's up, Uncle?" And he said, "Hey, son, are you done? Let's go eat." And I said, "No, Uncle, I'm still on the course." And you could just hear it and just, "What? I beat you? You're still out there?" So here's my uncle, man, 72 years old, and he already crossed the finish line. And I'm still behind him, but just sports in general. Nowadays, basketball is a big deal up at the Indian school. I'm talking about my son playing baseball, and baseball was baseball is my favorite sport. They had the exhibit here that went for a while. That was huge. That was cool. A huge hit. I would be at my son's game up at the Indian school, and folks would be talking about it and say, "Hey, did you see my picture down at the Culture Center?" I said, "Yeah, baseball was a big deal, and it really provided an environment for people to get together and be social."
Yeah.
And that's a big part of our culture, and baseball provided that. Running events and getting together and those types of activities bring people together. And we're talking about this coming weekend, the traditional community corn planting at Acoma. Mm-hmm. And it's, you go out there and work a little bit, but it really is a social event.
It is.
And everybody gets together and socializes and talks, and that's a big part of Pueblo culture, and that's what we try and do here at the Culture Center too. And I think that's even in the attitude with the employees. And not just the Pueblo employees. I think even the non-natives that work here have embraced that. And I appreciate that. And it's just that attitude of being whatever positive energy you put out there, you're going to get that coming back. And that's what we try and do here at the Culture Center is give out that positive energy, and people will reciprocate, and that's a big part of who we are.
Yeah, and you talked about it. That's something that our organization really pushes, is trying to do things the Pueblo way. Mm-hmm. And we have that acronym, CRAVE, which the C stands for Commitment to Pueblo Culture, R is Responsive, A is Authentic, V is Vigilance, and E is Empowered. And we let that be known to our employees from day one. That's the attitude that we want to have. We want to, we're different from most businesses in that we try to push that Pueblo way, and we try to work the way we live.
Absolutely. And I enjoy that. I think it's just all part of that attitude and understanding it. And we formalize it in this business environment with that CRAVE acronym, but it really is just a way for us to be who we are. And that's a big part. And nobody's perfect. We all get that. But understanding that and being able to support one another, and when folks make a mistake, it's okay to make a mistake. Let's go fix it and let's go address it. It's okay to disagree, but let's do it respectfully. We do the best we can. Nobody's ever perfect, but we do the best we can to exemplify that. And that CRAVE is just a part of that. It's a way for us to formalize that Pueblo culture and that Pueblo way of life, and doing things the Pueblo way. And I think it's all part of that sharing and being authentic and being who we are.
Yeah, and I think we just try to share that through the employees that work here, but also just anyone in general, in Albuquerque and New Mexico, surrounding states, that we're not just a center for Pueblo people to come, for Native people to come. We're open to everybody. We want to share our culture. We want to share our beliefs. We want to share our food. We want to share our dances. And so we want people to know that this is a place where you can experience the 19 Pueblos, just to get a taste of it, right, so that you can go out to those Pueblos and experience those feast days and whatnot.
Yeah, we're just not for Pueblo people. We're just not for natives. We want to share with whoever comes through the door. And I hope that attitude comes through on folks, and they recognize that. Certainly, I try to do the best I can when folks need help and reaching out to them, but I'm trying to share that with anybody that comes through the door and just spreading the word. And I appreciate this podcast and trying to reach those folks that out there that have been thinking about or have heard about the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center but never have come to visit us. Come pay a visit to us and let us share a little bit of who we are. It's not just for natives anymore. I'm saying it gives us a chance as two res dudes to get off the res and come and share our experiences with the folks and show what we can do, show who we are.
What's one thing I kind of mentioned? One thing that I've heard I've heard from people is that they didn't know that the cultural center was open to everyone. But what's one thing that maybe you've heard that people didn't know about the cultural center that you've heard from other people out in the community?
Well, here's one, and I didn't realize. I don't think not many people know this. Is we actually have a library in the basement, and we have an archive, and some of that archive is some of the water rights adjudication that goes through Indian country, and some of that side of it. People don't know that we have an archive, we have a library, and those things are here at the Culture Center. The Acoma language program from Acoma was out here yesterday, and I say, hey, what's going on? And talk to them and say, oh, we just came down to visit the library and to see what's down there and those types of things. So I think even within our Indian community and our Pueblo community, not everybody knows that that's here. And I think there's opportunities there for us as the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center to be able to even expand on that. What can we do to expand our library? What can we do to build the facilities to become a better archive? So there's opportunities for us to grow in that way too. But I don't think everybody knows that we've got a library here. I don't think everybody knows that we've got an archive here.
Yeah, I didn't know that when I worked here, and come to find out, we do have so many materials in there where if you want to do research on Pueblo culture, you can come here and it's open. You can check out the books, and we have a vault too that of some of the older pottery materials, just different things from way back when, from like pre-Columbus, even. So it's pretty cool the archive that we do have.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I certainly, I didn't know the extent of it too when I started work here. I've been here since 2018 and knew a little bit about the Culture Center, but certainly haven't been here as long as Dave Shalon, and so I think that that's an important part of what I would like to share with the community out there. And there are things here that you can experience. Even if you've been here before, there are still parts of it that you can explore. For me personally, I know who we are, and I see you at home, and we see each other's in the kiva, and we do our things to pray for all of the communities. And it's so cool for us to be able to practice our culture and our tradition and be in that environment where it's very sacred to us, but then come to work and conduct business. I think that's huge. And the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center offers that opportunity for our Pueblo people, but it also gives us an opportunity to share what we can with the general public and the dances that are held here. And my brother Shane's dance group was here, and it's good to see them there, and they like doing that, and they like sharing that part of our culture with the community. And I think it's an awesome place.
I do too. I like the fact that we do share those social dances that we're able to share, and we're able to tell people, that dances aren't just, something that we put on, aren't just, a dance that we do for fun. It's a form of prayer. It's a form of sacrifice for the people. When we do a buffalo dance or a deer dance, we wish those blessings that came from that animal go to the people. That strength from the buffalo, the speed from that deer, the vision from the eagle. So it's those blessings that we want, not only just for our native people and Pueblo people, but everyone that's around us. When we pray for the entire world. We pray for people in Israel. We pray for people in Ukraine, those wars that are going on. So it's something to come and learn about our culture that maybe people don't know. So I really enjoy sharing our culture, because we're from the res. This is where we grow. And I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm proud of my people. I'm proud of the things that we've done. So I really enjoy working here and just sharing all that we have, sharing our ancestors, sharing our history, everything that we have, because I'm really prideful of our people.
I remember driving up to Acoma, and we were going down Gumi, which is the mesa on the north side of Acoma and into the valley, and my son tells me, he says, "Dad," I said, "What?" He said, "We hit the jackpot, man. We won the lottery." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "We're from Acoma." and just even having my son say that was so significant to me. And he said, "You're right. It is important for us to acknowledge who we are and be proud of that. It's important for us to acknowledge and communicate to those folks that are willing to listen and learn how we are different, and how nationwide there's over 500 federally recognized tribes, and they're all sovereign entities in and of themselves." And I was looking on YouTube with the dances. Those dances are different than ours, but there still is an aspect of prayer in those songs. There's still an aspect of wishing people well, regardless of race or color or beliefs or any of those types of things. And I think that's huge for us to share with the community. And there are differences even amongst the Pueblos. We all have a common thread, but each one of the 19 are different in and of themselves. So go out there and learn about those individual Pueblos, and go out there and learn about the cultures, and go learn what differences there are between the Plains Indians and the Navajo and the Pueblo people, because they are different. I think oftentimes, being an Army veteran, when I was in the Army, folks would ask me, "Well, what type of Indian are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm a Pueblo Indian. I'm from the Pueblo of Acoma." And a lot of folks that didn't know any better, they would say, well, Navajo? And I said, no, that's not, no, we're not Navajo. And he said, well, and it's hard to explain it to them, but I would just joke with them. I said, well, you know, and this is no disrespect to my fellow natives out in the plains. I said, well, when other tribes were living in tents, we had condos. And they would laugh at that. They said, no, man, we had we had the first condos, man. Just go up to Acoma and see the 3-story condominiums we've had up there. And so there's differences there. And I say that in jest because they're nomadic tribes, there's hunter-gatherers. Even amongst all of us, there are differences there within the Native Americans within the United States, and the Pueblo culture is just one part of that.
Cool. Thanks, Mark, for your time. I appreciate it. And talking about the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, what we do and how we operate. So I appreciate your time and sharing with folks today. I think I hope people enjoy 2 Res Bros sitting down talking.
I hope so, man. I hope so. And I'd like to come back again at some point in time. I think I was a little nervous today, but I think we got into it, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back to just talk about just the property in general, because there's so many aspects. Like we took a little tiny dip into the different aspects of just the property, but we'll have to have you have.
I'd love to take a deep dive into it and explain in detail what some of that 600,000 square feet of property we manage is, and that could be a whole podcast in and of itself, but here's just the tip of the iceberg as to who we are. Come check it out.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate your time.
You got it.
Thank you for listening to the Pueblo in Focus podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe.